Have you recently forgotten where you left your keys, struggled to recall someone's name, or walked into a room and couldn't remember why? If you're over 60, you might assume it's just aging. But what if something else is quietly affecting your memory? Something you never expected. Millions of seniors live with type 2 diabetes. It's a condition we usually associate with blood sugar, the pancreas, and insulin. But here's what most people, and even many doctors, don't realize. This same disease can slowly and silently impact your brain. That's right. Researchers are now uncovering a startling connection between type 2 diabetes and memory decline. Some even call it type 3 diabetes when it affects your mind. This video will reveal the hidden link between blood sugar and brain fog. You'll learn how insulin resistance might be starving your brain of energy, how inflammation caused by diabetes damages your neurons, and what you can do today to protect your memory, naturally and scientifically. If you or someone you love has type 2 diabetes, please stay with me. What you're about to hear might change how you think about both your condition and your mind forever. Most people think diabetes is all about the body, managing sugar, avoiding complications with the eyes, the feet, or the heart. But very few realize that type 2 diabetes may also affect something far more personal: your memory, your clarity, your very sense of self. Let me explain. Your brain is one of the hungriest organs in your entire body. It uses nearly 20% of all your energy, and most of that comes from glucose. But here's the problem. In type 2 diabetes, your body becomes resistant to insulin. And insulin isn't just important for controlling blood sugar. It also plays a key role in helping your brain cells absorb the fuel they need to think clearly, remember details, and stay alert. When insulin resistance affects the brain, it's like the lights are on, but the power is flickering. Your neurons struggle to get the energy they need. Communication between brain regions slows down, and over time, you may notice it's harder to recall names, focus during conversations, or even stay mentally sharp during the day. This isn't just a theory. In recent years, researchers have begun to refer to this effect as type 3 diabetes, a term used to describe Alzheimer's disease driven by insulin resistance in the brain. And that's just the beginning. Have you ever had a moment where a word was on the tip of your tongue, but it just wouldn't come? Or maybe you've noticed that you're rereading the same line in a book over and over, unable to focus or retain what you just read. These moments might seem like minor lapses, harmless, just part of getting older, but they could actually be the first signals that your brain is struggling to process energy, all because of blood sugar dysfunction. Let's talk about something called brain fog. It's not a medical diagnosis, but for millions of seniors, it's a daily reality. You feel slower, your thoughts are cloudy, concentration is hard, memory feels slippery. It's like trying to think through a dense mist, and that mist isn't just caused by aging. It could be in people with type 2 diabetes. The brain becomes less responsive to insulin. And remember, insulin is not just a hormone for the body. In the brain, it acts like a key, unlocking the doors of your neurons so they can absorb glucose and function properly. When that key no longer works, when the brain becomes insulin resistant, your neurons are essentially starving. They don't fire as efficiently. Communication between different brain regions becomes impaired. And as this goes on, you may find yourself losing words, forgetting why you walked into a room, or missing appointments you were sure you'd remember. It's subtle at first. That's what makes it so dangerous. You might think it's stress, poor sleep, or just one of those days. But if you live with type 2 diabetes, or even prediabetes, these cognitive changes may not be coincidental. A 2016 study from Harvard Medical School showed that seniors with poorly managed type 2 diabetes were significantly more likely to experience mild cognitive impairment, not because of age, but because of poor glucose control affecting the brain. What's especially alarming is that this process doesn't cause sudden symptoms. It's not like chest pain or blurry vision. It happens gradually, often unnoticed, until the changes are hard to reverse. And while many seniors take steps to manage blood sugar for their heart or kidneys, they rarely realize that their brain, their memory, focus, and mental clarity is just as vulnerable. Now here's something even more surprising. These effects can start years before a formal diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia. That's why scientists are urging older adults to pay attention to early signs of cognitive drift, especially if they also have insulin resistance. It's not about fear, it's about awareness, because the earlier you act, the more power you have to slow, or even reverse this decline. And later in this video, I'll walk you through exactly how to do that. We often think of inflammation as something visible, like swelling in a joint or redness on the skin. But did you know that inflammation can also happen in your brain? And when you have type 2 diabetes, this hidden inflammation may be playing a major role in how your brain functions every single day. Let me explain how this works. When blood sugar levels are consistently high, your body begins to produce more inflammatory chemicals, known as these molecules travel through your bloodstream and can cross into the brain through what's called the blood-brain barrier. That barrier is meant to protect your brain from harm. But under chronic metabolic stress, like what happens in diabetes, it becomes more permeable. This allows harmful substances to sneak into the brain and trigger inflammatory responses. Once inside, these inflammatory molecules begin to damage neurons, the brain cells responsible for memory, decision-making, and learning. They interrupt the delicate connections between neurons, weaken the signals your brain relies on to process information, and can even lead to the death of brain cells over time. This low-grade, chronic inflammation doesn't cause pain, but it has devastating long-term consequences. It quietly erodes brain volume. It dulls mental sharpness. And most concerning of all, it's been directly linked to faster progression toward Alzheimer's disease. In fact, researchers have found that people with type 2 diabetes often have more inflammation in key areas of the brain responsible for memory, particularly the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. These are the same regions that shrink in people with dementia. And it doesn't stop there. Inflammation also affects the production of important brain chemicals, like dopamine and serotonin, which influence not just memory, but also mood and motivation. So if you've felt more anxious, irritable, or even depressed since your blood sugar worsened, you're not imagining it. The inflammatory effects of diabetes may be altering how your brain regulates emotional balance. Now here's something even more critical. This process can begin before a formal diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. Even people with prediabetes or insulin resistance, especially those over 60, may already have signs of cognitive inflammation. It's like a silent fire, smoldering inside the brain. You don't feel it, but over months and years, it damages the very circuits that allow you to think clearly, remember your life, and stay connected to the world around you. But here's the good news, and we'll talk about this more in the second half of this video. You can take action to reduce brain inflammation. With the right nutrition, blood sugar control, and daily habits, you can calm the storm inside your mind and begin to restore clarity. And yes, even if you've already noticed early signs of forgetfulness, so don't lose hope. Because just as inflammation is reversible in the body, it can also be soothed in the brain. If you know how, imagine this. You're sitting with your doctor, discussing your type 2 diabetes management, your A1C levels, your diet, your medication, but no one brings up the one organ most affected by poor glucose control: your brain. This omission isn't just an oversight, it's a dangerous gap in care. For decades, diabetes and Alzheimer's were seen as separate diseases. One affected the pancreas and blood sugar, the other affected memory and the brain. But today, scientists are uncovering a much deeper connection, and what they've found has shocked even the most experienced neurologists. Multiple studies have now shown that people with type 2 diabetes have up to twice the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease or other forms of dementia. Not a slight increase, but a significant, measurable, and troubling correlation. So much so that researchers have started calling Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes in certain cases. Why that label? Because Alzheimer's in many patients appears to be driven by the same core problem: insulin resistance. When brain cells lose their ability to respond to insulin, they can't absorb the glucose they need to function. This leads to a kind of energy crisis inside the brain, especially in the hippocampus, the area responsible for forming and storing memories. Without fuel, neurons weaken and die. But it doesn't stop there. Insulin resistance also affects how the brain clears out toxic proteins, like beta-amyloid and tau. These are the same proteins that accumulate and form the plaques and tangles seen in Alzheimer's brains. So instead of cleaning itself efficiently, the brain begins to clog, connections weaken, memory fades, and the decline accelerates. What's most disturbing is that this chain of events can begin years, even decades before the first signs of memory loss appear. In other words, By the time a senior forgets their grandson's name or gets lost in their own neighborhood, these changes have often been building silently for a long time. Now, let's be clear. Not everyone with type 2 diabetes will develop Alzheimer's, but the risk is significantly higher, especially if blood sugar levels have been poorly managed over time. This is why cognitive screening is now being recommended as part of diabetes care in older adults. It's also why some of the most cutting-edge Alzheimer's research is now focused on insulin pathways and glucose metabolism. Not just in the body, but in the brain. If you've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, or even prediabetes, you deserve to know this. You deserve to understand how your condition may be affecting not just your physical health, but your cognitive future. And you deserve tools that go beyond pills. Tools backed by science, grounded in real strategies, and focused on protecting your independence, dignity, and memory. That's what we'll begin unpacking in the next part of this video. Because, while the connection between diabetes and dementia is real, it's not irreversible. You have more control than you think. Let's be honest. Most advice about memory loss or blood sugar control feels overwhelming. Strict diets, endless medications, confusing routines. It's enough to make anyone give up before they even start. But here's the truth. I share with every patient over 60. It's not about perfection. It's about daily consistency. Small actions that build a stronger, sharper brain over time. Let's begin with one of the most underrated tools, sleep. Poor sleep is a silent saboteur of both memory and metabolic control. When you don't get enough deep rest, your brain struggles to consolidate memories, and your body becomes more insulin resistant, meaning higher blood sugar the very next day. Studies show that people who sleep less than 6 hours per night are at significantly greater risk of both type 2 diabetes and cognitive decline. So the first daily habit, create a relaxing tech-free bedtime routine. Dim the lights, sip a calming herbal tea, set a consistent schedule. Your brain and your pancreas will thank you. Next, we move to movement. Notice I didn't say exercise, because for many seniors, that word brings up images of gym memberships or intense routines. But even light, daily walking has been shown to boost memory, improve insulin sensitivity, and reduce inflammation. In fact, walking just 20 to 30 minutes a day increases blood flow to the brain's memory centers. It's like opening a window and letting oxygen and nutrients flood in. Then comes hydration. You'd be surprised how many cognitive symptoms, like confusion, fatigue, or brain fog, are actually due to mild dehydration, and seniors are particularly vulnerable. Make it a habit to drink water first thing in the morning and sip throughout the day. If you wait until you feel thirsty, it may already be too late. Now let's talk about mental stimulation. The brain, like a muscle, needs to be challenged. That doesn't mean Sudoku or crossword puzzles, unless you enjoy them. It means anything that keeps your mind engaged. Reading, learning something new, talking with friends, listening to music, even volunteering. Social interaction is one of the most powerful and most overlooked ways to protect cognitive health. Then we have stress management. Chronic stress floods the brain with cortisol, a hormone that damages the hippocampus, your memory center. It also spikes your blood sugar. So whether it's through prayer, meditation, deep breathing, or simply walking in nature, find a calming ritual you can practice every day. Even 5 minutes makes a difference. And here's one more habit. Morning sunlight. Yes, something as simple as stepping outside first thing in the morning helps reset your circadian rhythm, improves sleep quality, boosts mood, and enhances insulin function. It's free, it's easy, and it works. The key with all of these, don't try to do everything at once. Pick 1 or 2 habits, build momentum. Let success build on success. Because the brain responds best to small, repeated signals of safety, nourishment, and balance. And over weeks and months, these habits begin to rewire your physiology. They reinforce a healthy metabolism. They rebuild the brain's capacity for focus, recall, and clarity. It's not magic, it's biology, and it's within your control. Next, we'll explore the early warning signs of diabetes-related cognitive decline and how to spot them before they become irreversible. Because awareness is power, and catching things early could change the entire course of your memory, independence, and life. Not all memory problems are normal. Yes, aging naturally slows certain functions, like name recall or multitasking. But when memory changes begin to interfere with daily life, or when they show up alongside poorly managed blood sugar, we must pay attention. The earlier we spot the signs, the more we can do to slow, stop, or even reverse the damage. Let's begin with one of the most common and most misunderstood red flags: brain fog. Many seniors describe it as being in a cloud. You're awake, but not fully alert. You forget why you walked into a room. You reread the same page in a book and still can't recall what it said. You lose track of conversations, drift during tasks, and feel mentally drained by mid. This fog is often a metabolic symptom, not just a cognitive one. It's your brain signaling that its energy supply is unstable, that glucose isn't being processed efficiently. Next comes short-term memory lapses that go beyond simple forgetfulness. You start forgetting appointments. You ask the same question multiple times without realizing. You misplace items in strange places, like your phone in the fridge. And when these things happen more than occasionally, it's not just getting older. It may be early insulin resistance in the brain. Another overlooked sign is mood changes. When the brain isn't fueled properly, emotional regulation suffers. You may feel irritable, anxious, or even depressed, especially in the late afternoon or after meals. This is sometimes called diabetic mood swings, and it's a clue that both your brain and blood sugar are under stress. Then we have fatigue after eating, especially high-carb meals. Many seniors with prediabetes or undiagnosed type 2 diabetes notice they feel sleepy, foggy, or mentally dull after lunch or dinner. This post-meal crash is often mistaken for normal aging, but it can be a sign that your brain is struggling to respond to glucose surges. One more subtle clue: difficulty following conversations or watching TV. You find yourself zoning out. You struggle to follow the plot of a movie. You can't keep up when someone talks quickly or shifts topics. This is a red flag for impaired working memory, often affected early in metabolic cognitive decline. Other signs include losing your sense of direction in familiar places, struggling to manage finances or medications, trouble making decisions or solving simple problems, forgetting the names of people you've known for years. Now let's be clear. None of these symptoms guarantee dementia, but when they show up in clusters, especially in someone with poorly managed diabetes, they are signals. Signals that the brain's energy systems are under pressure, that inflammation is building, that neurons are struggling to communicate. And the worst thing you can do, ignore them. The best thing, take action while there's still time, because cognitive decline is not a switch that flips overnight. It's a slow fade, but like any slow process, it can be interrupted, redirected, and even reversed if caught early enough. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. In our final section, I'll walk you through a step-by-step roadmap for protecting your brain and blood sugar, starting today. It's not about fear, it's about empowerment. Let's finish strong. After everything we've discussed, you might be wondering, what do I do now? What can I actually change today to protect both my brain and my blood sugar? So let me give you exactly what I give to my patients. Not a long checklist, not a complicated protocol, but a simple, 5-step daily routine. A rhythm you can follow every day to help reduce insulin resistance, boost brain function, and regain clarity. Step 1. Start the day with smart fuel. Before anything else, drink a glass of water. Add a pinch of sea salt or a squeeze of lemon if you like. This rehydrates your brain and kickstarts your metabolism. Then, eat a breakfast that combines protein plus healthy fats plus fiber. Scrambled eggs with avocado and spinach. Greek yogurt with chia seeds and walnuts. A protein smoothie with unsweetened almond milk, berries, and flax. What you don't want is a sugar spike first thing. No sugary cereals. No white toast and jam. No fruit juice on its own. The first meal sets your blood sugar tone for the entire day, and your brain follows that rhythm. Step 2. Move your body, gently but consistently. After breakfast, take a 15 to 20 minute walk. Get your blood flowing. This lowers post-meal glucose, improves insulin sensitivity, and increases blood flow to the brain. Can't go outside? Do light stretches by the window. March in place. Just move. Movement is not just physical, it's neurological. It tells your body, I'm alive, I'm engaged, I'm safe. Step 3. Nourish your mind throughout the day. Listen to something stimulating. A podcast, audiobook, or uplifting music. Read a chapter of a book. Call a friend and have a real conversation. Don't let your brain drift into passive consumption all day. It needs challenge, interaction, and novelty to stay sharp. Step 4. Balance your meals for stability, not spikes. Lunch and dinner should follow the same formula. Half your plate vegetables. A palm-sized portion of protein, chicken, fish, beans, or tofu. Healthy fats like olive oil, nuts, or seeds. If you want carbs, choose slow ones. Sweet potatoes, lentils, brown rice, and eat mindfully. No TV, no scrolling. Just sit, chew slowly, and give your digestion a chance to work in your favor. Step 5. Protect your evening routine like it's sacred. After dinner, avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. Try light stretching or deep breathing. Read, journal, listen to calming music. Make your room cool and dark. Go to bed at the same time every night. Your brain cleans itself during deep sleep, literally flushing out toxins linked to Alzheimer's. Skipping rest is like skipping mental maintenance. If you need a night snack, keep it small and stable. A slice of turkey, a few almonds, or half a banana with nut butter. This protocol isn't just for prevention, it's for regeneration. It's about turning your entire day into a message to your body and brain. You are safe, you are stable, you are supported. And when your biology gets that message, it starts to heal. Slowly, steadily, powerfully. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistent. Because consistency is what rewires habits. It's what rebuilds neurons. It's what protects memories, the very essence of who you are. And now, let's wrap this up together. You've made it to the end of this video, and that tells me something important. You care. You're not just curious, you're committed. You're ready to take ownership of your brain, your body, and your future. Let me remind you, memory loss is not inevitable. Type 2 diabetes does not have to steal your identity, your clarity, or your joy. Yes, there's a powerful link between blood sugar and brain health, but that's not a reason to fear. It's a reason to act. Because now you know what to do. You've seen how insulin resistance affects the brain. You've learned the silent symptoms. And now you hold a daily routine that can help reduce inflammation, stabilize glucose, and support your most important asset, your mind. But don't stop here. This video is just the beginning. If this message resonated with you, if you've noticed signs of memory slip, mental fog, or unstable blood sugar, if you care about someone struggling with these issues, then take a moment right now. Click the like button. It tells the algorithm this content matters. Subscribe to this channel. We're building a library of practical tools for real people over 60. And share this video with a friend, sibling, or neighbor who might be silently dealing with the same worries. Every share is a gift. Every action ripples outward. And if you've been watching silently, feeling like no one talks about this, please know, you're not alone. This channel is here for you. Dr. William Carter is here for you. And we'll be back soon with another life-changing insight, backed by science, delivered with care. Until then, keep moving, keep nourishing your mind, and keep believing. It's never too late to protect your brain. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.